Okay, so yeah, at the outset, you look at all these different categories. So we say the grids and levels, the architect's going to make those, and then you can decide what the other consultants are doing. With the walls, the architects will make their own walls, obviously, and the structural engineer will probably make their own walls as well. So they'll put in their load-bearing walls, their shear walls, and there's some duplication. So the architects are making walls, the structural engineers are making walls, whatever, it's fine. Now the mechanical and electrical consultants will simply link in the architect's model to see where the walls in the project are, just like they did before with the floor plan XREF from the architects. So nothing changes there. With the floors, the architects will do their own slabs, right? Because often you have very precise locations or very specific locations where you want the slab to end because of your details. And so the structural engineer will want to make their own floors as well, so they can put the rebar in them and so on. So for most of the building, you can see that the mechanical and electrical will simply link in the architect's model, so they have that as a background. And a structural engineer may model their own walls and floors and roofs and other stuff, especially, of course, the structural columns and beams, which in turn, the architects link the structural model back in so they can see the location of the columns and beams in the project. So the key there at the bottom is, who's the author, who's copy monitoring the stuff in, and who's just linking the other consultants' geometry. Now, the last thing that we're going to do here tonight is we're going to talk about how you can take a project that has been not set up for work sets and very quickly take a non-shared file and turn it into a shared file. So in the folder for tonight is the advanced sample project here. So there's a 2019 format, so I'll just open that up and upgrade it. So I'm going to walk you through the process of how you can very quickly take a single user Revit file, share it for your team, and then put everything on the right work set. Because initially, of course, everything is on one work set when you create a multi-user file. So as we're going to see here in a few seconds, Revit creates two work sets when you share a project for the first time. You've got your shared levels and grids, and Revit puts all the levels and grids onto that work set, and then everything else goes onto this generic work set called Work Set 1. Okay, so here's the advanced sample project, turning it into a multi-user file. So, Collaborate tab, Work Sets. Or maybe you'll have to hit the Collaborate button first, I'm not sure. You might be able to hit the Work Sets button straight away. So I'm going to do it here. So this is turning a single user file into the central file. So these are the two default work sets that are going to be created. So we're going to enable work sets, but we're going to help you skip a step here. So exercise, setting up work sets. Last page of the notes. So we're going to enable work sets, and it says create the following work sets: building exterior, building interior, structure, site. Now, I'm going to save us all a step, because instead of just making it work set 1, we can take work set 1 and rename it as building exterior. So this means we've already kind of created that first work set instead of having to rename work set 1 later as one of the work sets that we're going to need. So that's done. So work sets are being created. Revit's grinding away, turning this into a multi-user file. And then it pops open the work sets dialog box, and we can create the other work sets that are required here. So building interior and the other ones that it mentions. You can. If there's nothing in it, then it's no problem at all. You can just put your cursor on that row and choose delete.
But the first one, is I created it as a work set one.
That's fine, you can just rename it.
It's not letting me.
What you have to do is get work set 1, hit editable at the bottom, hit OK, and exit the dialog box. Then come back into it and you'll be able to rename work set 1. Okay.
My recommendation is never rename work set 1 because the default is almost like your real zero or get point of the object. So in my office, if anyone rename that level 1,
It works at 1. So you found that works at 1 actually has a significance of some kind.
yeah, it have a setup of all the furniture that we don't rename, and if you rename them, it will a little confusing.
So you leave works at.
Yeah, work set 1 and level and width do not ever rename.
Okay. I'll have to look into that because I didn't realize there was a technical reason for it. Okay.
So please do not rename work set 1.
Okay. So now with these extra work sets created, now I'm going to show you folks a little trick that's going to make our lives simpler here in a second. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the 3D view. And I'm just going to turn on shading here so it's a little easier to distinguish our objects from each other. Now, right now, all of the geometry in the project is on a single work set. Now, for me, all of my geometry, so if you folks put your cursor over one of the 3D objects in your site, Revit first shows the name of the work set that it is on. And then it shows what the object is. So I've got a roof object here. So first it says it's the building exterior, then it says it's a roof. So the first thing that Revit tells you is what work set it is on. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my my visibility dialog box here. And this might seem a little weird, but just bear with me. Whatever work set that your building is currently on, leave it visible. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the other work sets except levels and grids, and I'm going to hide them. Now, we're not going to see any change here. Nothing should change on our screen. Again, you're going to leave your shared levels and grids visible, and you're also going to leave the work set that your building is on right now as visible as well. And I just realized that it would have been smart for me to have the building exterior as a separate work set. So you know what I'm going to do, folks? If any of you renamed work set 1 to building exterior, I'm going to rename it back to work set 1. You'll see why in a second. So if any of you folks have done the same thing, you've named building exterior as work set 1, go into work sets and rename building exterior back to work set 1, and then now make a work set called building exterior, an extra work set. So you've got this new building exterior work set now, which we've just created. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our visibility, and we are also going to hide the building exterior work set. So our default work set with everything on it is going to be work set 1, and our site structure, exterior, and interior work sets are all hidden. Okay, so what we're going to start doing is putting everything on the right work set. So the topography, put your cursor on the topography, and whatever work set it's on right now, switch it to the site category. It's going to disappear because the site work set's off. Is that a good thing? Yeah, because now we know that the site's on the right work set it should be because it's hidden. How about our trees? Right click, select all instances in the project. There's all our trees. We can move them to the site work set. Or how about this? Pick on one of our planting objects, IC, isolate category. There's all our plants. Window select them all. Put them on the right work set. They'll disappear. So now all the trees are gone. If you want to bring back the rest of the model that still needs to go on the right work set, HR. So we've got some parking stalls here. Some of them have been arrayed. So when they're arrayed, you can't change their work set. So what we have to do is select all the parking stalls and ungroup them. Once your parking stalls that have been arrayed have been ungrouped, you will then be able to change their work set to the site work set. And then they will disappear. Now we can start dealing with the other components of our building. Now our roof. Structure or building exterior? Yes, one of those. I'm going to put it on the building exterior work set. So now it disappears. Roof is gone. It's on the right work set. Now I've got all my ceilings down here, right? So if I zoom in, I've got my ceilings here. I want to get those ceilings onto the right work set. Isolate category, IC. There's all my ceilings in the project. I can window select every single last one of them. It's all my ceilings. And I put them onto the building interior work set. So now all my ceilings in the project are on the right work set. That only took a second. HR, come back. How about all my columns here? My structural columns, my concrete columns. IC, isolate category. There's all my columns. I can window select every single last one of them. Put the columns onto the structure layer. HR, bring everything back. So there we go. So now we've got our floors. IC, isolate category. So there's all our floors in the project. So I'm going to throw all of my floors onto the structure work set because they're structural slabs. So in this manner, you can start moving all of your objects onto the appropriate work set, and you'll know you've done it right because they're gone. So here's my interior walls, 138mm partition, 1 hour. What am I going to do? Right-click, select all instances in the project. This is a wall type. I don't want to select all my walls, just my interior walls. These are all interior walls. There they all are. They're on work set 1 right now. Let's move them to building interior. There, off they go. How about all these doors here? Right click, select all instances in the project. Wherever those doors are, there should be on the interior work set. And there you go. So, for next week, you guys need to get this entire project put onto the right work set and put it into your share in folder. Okay, so that's it for this week. If you guys have any questions about the term project, we'll be here for a few minutes yet to help you out with that.